Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner, Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. And Patrick, the Cubs are inching closer and closer to clinching the playoffs. We just had this discussion before we started recording. What's the magic number as we record here on Tuesday morning? After the win, it was 3. I'm pretty sure it's 2 now. But they're likely, in all likelihood, going to clinch a playoff spot this week. It's that close. Whether they get the top wild card spot or not, that's a little more winning that they need to do to get there. But looks like they're playoff bound. And I think even Jameson Tyone said, I don't want to jinx anything, but and talked about setting themselves up nicely for the playoffs. And I think that's kind of where they're at. The pitching looks good, figuring out who's going to be in that rotation and in that bullpen, I think is kind of what's on Craig Counsell's mind as he gets his team prepared for the postseason, which will be the first one in front of fans since 2018. That's kind of crazy to think. But yeah, and the last time they won a game in the postseason was 2017. It's been a while.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a digression, but it is a little odd how the Cubs have just been in this place for such a long time now where the playoff odds are like 98, 99, 99.9%. But the division has been out of reach, and it's not a one-game wild card that you're dropped back into. Should be for them a pretty nice 3-game series at home. And so it's just been the anticipation, I think, has not quite been there. It'd be interesting to see how they celebrate, because this group, as Tyone also said, is very focused on their process. It's all about today. And I'm sure they'll let it rip and let it loose a little bit in the clubhouse. But yeah, they're in this spot where they're going to have the luxury to sort of line things up, make sure pitchers are healthy, whether it's giving them an extra day, more rest, limiting their innings, pitch counts, whatever it is. This is not a team that's going to be running on fumes by the time the wild card round opens.
Yeah, we can talk about whether, Matthew Boyd or Shota Imanaga aren't at their peak right now, but, like Jameson Tyone looks really good. Cade Horton goes against Paul Skeens. And when you enter a game like that and you feel like, yeah, this is a good matchup, that's saying something about the starting pitcher you have on the mound. Because Paul Skeens is arguably the best pitcher with Tarek Skubal in baseball. So, I'm not sure what Boyd we're going to get, what Shota we're going to get. I think they, especially Shota, well, both of them, they have this tendency lately to start off a little shaky, but they find it quickly, which I think is incredibly impressive. You give your team a chance. That's all you can really ask. I thought I liked what I saw from Soroka. I think that can be an X factor in a wild card in the playoffs. His performance, he's touching 97. I did not expect that. And and he, these multi-inning weapons are that's the other thing. We haven't covered playoffs in an era where the game has really changed in October. I remember, was it the GM meetings in 2017, whatever it was around that time. And Jed basically saying, we still believe in, you want the 7-inning starter and all that stuff. The game has completely changed. Jed's philosophy has changed. Even he has accepted, like, the game is very different. So how you and I have to look at this compared to what we were doing last time they were in the playoffs, it just doesn't work anymore. So and Craig Counsell is known for this. If there are managers that are known for how they handle their pitching staff, it's probably Terry Francona is up there. And I don't watch every the other team regularly. I believe Kevin Cash is supposed to be really good at that, and Craig Counsell's up there in his ability to, really leverage a deep pitching staff. And right now, it looks really talented and deep. Maybe not the elite swing and miss talent that you want across the board, but when you count Keller, Kittredge, Soroka, the lefties, Pomerantz and Thielbar, it's a good group behind your starters.
Yeah, I mean, Jed sort of laughs when he looks back on that time period with the Cubs' last World Series era of like, all right, Arrieta, Hendricks, Lester, they'll go 7+. Then you just sort of let maybe Strope or Rondon get a couple hitters, and then they had Chapman in the ninth or ninth inning plus, obviously.
Right.
Once they got into October, it was sort of like, the circle of trust was extremely small back then, but you just can't do that anymore. The game has changed, and Soroka acknowledged that. He said the last 5 years, for sure, maybe even longer, you've seen these changes in baseball to where someone like Soroka could be an X factor. Jameson Taillon, like you said, has looked pretty sharp, and he's not a reliever by any stretch of the imagination, but he's an exemplary teammate, and I'm sure he'll be ready whenever the bullpen phone rings. Like, if he's the best guy for that situation, that's who the Cubs are going to go to. And that was the point Counsell made on Monday in Pittsburgh, that he is someone who's very proactive in terms of managing pitchers' workloads. He's very conscious of pitcher health, but he does not care at all about your feelings. And part of that, just the way the game is now, like, he was not taking credit for that. Like, that's just kind of how the modern game operates now. But the Cubs in spring training have been communicative. They've been proactive. They've been prepared. Not that they were setting everything up for October, but I think it sort of lends itself to this all hands on deck mentality. And one quick note, since we mentioned him, in prior episodes, Daniel Palencia had a light throwing session on Monday, scheduled for a full bullpen on Wednesday. If that goes well, he could be on a rehab assignment with Iowa this weekend, I believe, pitching Saturday. So all that is very much in motion now, and we don't expect him to come back and automatically be the ninth inning guy. But his velo is looking very good, we're told, so that it seems like they've avoided what looked like a worst case scenario when he walked off the mound with the trainer at Wrigley earlier this month. I think he's added to that mix, just not as the anointed closer.
Yeah, I think him being added back, Porter Hodges looked a little shaky after seeming to turn a corner.
Mm.
But if those are your, I don't know, third or fourth and fifth righties out of the bullpen, or best righties, I should say, out of the bullpen for the playoffs, I think you'll take that. I think that's pretty huge. If you get Soroka looking good over the final, whatever we have left, 12 games to go, I think you can feel good about your righties and your lefties. I'm liking the way this bullpen is set up. Jed Hoyer may not have gotten a nasty closer at the deadline. I think Kittredge has turned out to be a great addition and really has helped set things up and stabilize things, even though they lost their de facto closer, I guess. All right, let's take a quick break and then come back and talk about a potential breakout last night. We'll see. Your season, your shot. The NFL is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet, plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
It seems like first game of a road trip that you're on, Patrick. Pete Crow-Armstrong will hit a home run.
Yes.
I don't know if it's a sign that he has turned the corner. I believe it was 2 hits at the end of by the end of the night. That a great double and a deep home run. That didn't go into the water, right? Did that get out of the ballpark?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. But he looked much better, and I kind of felt like he was heading in that direction right before he fouled that ball off his knee. So I don't know if it just took him a little while to get back, and now it's clicking. If it's a 1-game thing, whatever it was nice to see for Cubs fans, and I'm sure the Cubs as well. What was kind of the reaction from Pete? How is he feeling? What's the consensus out there in Pittsburgh?
Pete was in one of those moods where he was ready to sort of do the one-man show, the monologue at his locker. But he was very felt like in Anaheim he was a little more all over the place, kind of processing everything. He was very sharp last night, and I had kind of 2 ideas I want to present to him, just because sometimes he does so much early work and is so focused on that, it's sometimes hard to get him at his locker. So I just asked him this idea of looking forward to the playoffs, and just everything is about compete mode, that he can just go out there and be athletic and try to beat the pitcher on that pitch, rather than carrying these frustrations that have clearly built up, wanting so bad to do something to help the team and kind of turn things around. I mean, he used a phrase, when you're killing rallies, like that's how he feels like he's been on this stretch here for a while now. And so he's like, yeah, sure. I mean, one swing can change things, but he also, in the same breath, said, I'm very impatient at times with this sort of stuff. And you just listening to him, you can tell how much he cares, how much he's looking forward to a reset in October. And that was his point. It's all a wash. Like the regular season games that he was frustrated about, the regular season games that he was happy about, like they don't matter anymore. That everything resets at 0, and I think that will be good for him, maybe more than any sort of like mechanical tweak or like video session, which is not something he's into anyways. He goes by feel. And the other point was, I asked him, you're talking about deep frustrations and long slumps, and you look up in the middle of September and you've got 29 home runs, which is kind of wild. And he acknowledged that perspective has been harder to come by recently, that how he performed in the first half, his own expectations grew. And Juan Cabrera, one of the Cubs hitting coaches, told him, look, you've reached your stat line for this season. Like you've fulfilled your obligations. You've exceeded the club's expectations. So don't worry about that. And Pete said that is comforting. He is very appreciative of all the support he's gotten from whether it's hitting coaches or teammates such as Justin Turner, who've been with him on this air quotes offensive journey. I mean, that's kind of how players talk now too. But yeah, I'm fascinated to see just kind of what he does in October, because Juan Cabrera is someone who's very close to Javi Baez, and we all saw what Javi did when the lights came on. And not saying Pete will do that, but it's hard to imagine him being a wallflower or a non-factor during the playoffs.
Yeah, you said something about him being frustrated during this time, or a little disappointed, whatever it may be. I think fans' expectations changed for him as well, and they've been frustrated with his performance and results of late. And it's exactly what he said. It all changes if in October. If he performs in October, who cares what he did in August, September? It just doesn't matter. Because they're that close to officially getting in. And if he's their best player, they have a chance to do some damage. And I completely agree with you. The Javi Baez comparison, we'll start talking about that again if he performs in October, because it's set up for him to be, in the spotlight and thrive. And I think he's shown us, we haven't had enough moments, but he does seem like someone that could kind of, blossom in those moments and really stand out. And it's not like he already hasn't had the spotlight on him and become a face of MLB, but this could really be big for him. And obviously for the team, they need him. They need him to be playing at a high level. I think it should be really fun. I think you said it perfectly. I'm fascinated to see what he does, because he's, probably when it comes to the offense, the most interesting storyline for October for this team. We'll get to Kyle Tucker, but Pete's one of the most exciting offensive players in the game when he's going right. So if he can perform up to his capabilities, it just means so much for this team. And even if he's not hitting, he's just so valuable defensively as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has a chance to be the best player on the field in every playoff game he's in. Now, maybe with the Dodgers, that might be a little higher bar to clear, but we've talked about the need for a star player for a long time, and it's that elite talent that can change playoff series, that can do it against the best of the best on the biggest stages. And Pete, I think, fits that bill, and we'll see. That's a matter of going out and doing it. And that is another thing he had sort of said, of just like, you have to play the game in front of you, that you can't be worried about the trend lines, or too wrapped up in trying to mimic something you saw on video. Sometimes it's, like you said, a jam shot, a bunt, like something just clicks. And yeah, I don't know if it happened in Pittsburgh, because like you said, it was the same thing in Anaheim of like, oh, maybe he's coming out of it. And then eventually he got one of those resets that Counsell was handing out. But, it is just, he is the character on this team. Like, he is the leading man, the most interesting person in the clubhouse. Like, there's just kind of no way around that, because he can do unbelievable things on the field, and because he's so young, he's so inexperienced, he's such a magnet for the fans that one way or another, he's going to be a big factor in how this season is remembered.
Yep, absolutely. And let's get to the second biggest, if not tied for the biggest offensive position player on this team. Let's take a quick break.
Hey, if you're a card collector or you're looking to collect, buy, sell, trade, Arena Club's the spot. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the old process, AJ, was very clunky. Buy a box, rip the pack, tons of commons, send it in for grading. And then finally, you get everything back. This is weeks and weeks, and you can start to try and sell the card. We have eliminated that with Arena Club, or they have. I act like I'm part of it. But in really one step.
Arena's your one-stop shop for everything. You get a card, you open a slab pack, the card is there, it's graded, it spins around coolly, shows you 3D, the front, the back, you can look at the corners, you can look at everything, and then you get a decision. Do I want to keep it? Do I want to sell it? Do I want to trade it? It gives you an instant offer. You can buy it back and re-rip another slab pack and try for something else, or you can keep it and hope the value goes up and sell it at a later date. It is truly the best spot to get cards.
20% off your first slab pack or card purchase can be had right now at arenaclub.com/FOUL and use code FOUL.
All right. It seems like we have it's not even weekly. It's episodically Kyle Tucker update. And there was another one. Today's Tuesday. He's not coming off the IL on Tuesday. I don't know if they officially rule that out, but I think that would be a shock to everyone involved based on what I heard over the weekend and what you heard out there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think the update or headline here is that Kyle Tucker is not making progress, that this calf injury has lingered. He's kind of stuck at this point in the rehab process. Craig Counsell and Kyle Tucker are not the most effusive personalities, so it's not like they're going to be sweating it or showing too many signs of concern or frustration. But this is not what you want in the middle of September. There is still time. I asked Tucker if there was like a certain amount of at bats that he needed to feel ready for October. And he said, not really. He said, obviously he'd like to be out there right now, but, Counsell dropped one of his, we're not making progress, frankly. And that tells you what you need to know. And it's really interesting to see what happens here with Tucker. The Cubs nominated him for the Roberto Clemente Award, one of baseball's highest honors. And it did signify something that teammates have noticed behind the scenes, that Tucker really has been invested in this team and this season and wanting to extract the most from it. But he's just not available to play right now. And, his availability, his health, his performance is potentially worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So getting him right and locked in is important. But at the same time, same thing with Pete, it's all a wash. It all starts back at zero. And this is someone who's played, and I think it was 64 playoff games with the Astros. So he knows what he needs to get ready. But again, with Pete, this is someone who looked like an MVP candidate out of the gate and has largely delivered what the Cubs needed. But his struggles, Pete's slumps have added to this feeling around the team of just sort of waiting until the playoffs start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If they had stayed hot, or if one of the two had allowed them to, we wouldn't, they'd probably still be in the division race.
That's for sure.
So it would feel a little bit more exciting right now. I don't know. I'm trying to gauge the level of concern. Fans are, I'm sure fans are concerned, and they have every right to panic whenever they decide is the right time to panic. That it's fine. But this is a hard one to read for me, in the sense that this doesn't seem like a major injury. It never seemed like it was significant pain or just I can't do anything. He's able to do all the things except for run. And even that, he can run. They're just trying to get it so he doesn't feel
Gone,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah. So where are we here? Is if it gets to October, is he going to just play with a little bit of pain or a little bit of feeling in there? I would guess yes,
Yeah,
but
I think so, yeah.
and he could probably perform perfectly fine and just may not be that it'll be an obvious like game planning thing for the opposing team. This guy can't run at full speed, so if he hits one in the gap, I mean, if he hits one, he's not like legging out an extra base very often. It has to be an obvious double, or if it's over the fence, that's the ideal thing for Kyle Tucker. And I think that's where I'm at with it. He could play in October probably right now if tomorrow was a playoff game or tonight was a playoff game. And that's probably how fans should just try and compartmentalize this. It doesn't seem like something bad. My concern is when you have that feeling there, it can always get worse. And that's probably what their concern is, of like, let's just get this to 0. And if it isn't 0 by whatever, I think September 30th is the first game of the playoffs, then we're just going to have to go with what we have and play baseball. And if he's confident that he doesn't need at bats, I guess that's fine. It's not like he cannot swing right now. He's out there hitting. I mean, maybe not. He never goes out. You know what I mean? He's in the cages hitting. Maybe that's all they need. And maybe we shouldn't, or I shouldn't overthink this any further than that. But I think it's worth. It's absolutely something that we have to pay attention to, and it has to be of slight concern, just because he's so important. Just like we said about Pete Crow-Armstrong, it's these two guys. If you have these two guys playing well in October, you're one of the most dangerous teams in the playoffs. And if they're not clicking, then you need a ton of luck and other guys to step up. And it just makes things a lot harder when your superstars aren't performing. You need unsung heroes in the postseason anyways, but you need your stars to perform as well. So I don't know what else to add to that.
The only thing I would say is that teams never fully acknowledge publicly the extent of injuries until like they absolutely have to.
That's a good point.
Like Justin Steele's injury was not good, and then they gather more information, more opinions, and then it takes another day or two before it's just finally like, okay, this is a season-ending thing. And that doesn't mean that teams are being fundamentally dishonest. It's just that there are a lot of gray areas here, and that how they can frame it how they want, and then we can interpret it to the best of our knowledge and experience. And until this like gets better, it has to be on your radar if you're a Cubs fan or someone in the Chicago media, because he's so important, because he probably won't be here for a long time. I mean, we'll see what happens, but this was kind of a 1-year arrangement, and then revisit it this offseason. He is still one of the best hitters in the game when he's right. One of their most accomplished players by far. So yeah, maybe he does get into that whatever Cardinals series at the end of September and everything's fine, and we'll wonder why we spent so much time talking about this calf injury. Or maybe it does keep lingering. Maybe it continues to not get better, and we have to keep writing these updates that are rather tedious.
All it takes is one Counsell pregame session where he says today was a good day for Kyle Tucker, and then it eases a ton of concerns. Until that happens, I think people are going to be nervous about Kyle Tucker's status. It can quickly change. This is not like a very obvious injury where it's like this takes X amount of time to heal. It could be a week, it could be a day. We just don't know when he's going to get not when he's going to stop feeling whatever he's feeling in his calf. All right, Patrick, we'll be back later this week with another episode. The Cubs got 2 more, a big one, a fun one tonight. Cade Horton versus Paul Skeens. By the time people are listening to this, maybe that game's already been played, but should be a fun, exciting game. Always fun when young aces go at it. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. This is Northside Territory. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.